Hello and welcome. I am Mara Cepeda. This is Rappler Talk. Today we are here with Albay 1st District Representative Edcel Lagman, who is leading the charge against the passage of the controversial death penalty bill at the House of Representatives. Now, Congressman, yesterday the session ended with high emotions among the congressmen because I think 2 hours into the session, after the interpellation of Congressman Lawrence Fortun kay Congressman Reynaldo Umali, you said wala na pong quorum and you were moving to suspend the session. Now, to the people watching now, House rules state that the congressman cannot transact business during the session if there's no majority of congressmen present, and I believe that's why Congressman Lagman was moving. But Deputy Speaker Raneo Abu did not agree with you when you had the heated exchange, and in the end, Majority Leader Rodolfo Fariñas said that if he would call for a caucus of the majority, and if they decide that they want to end the debate, baka mapilitan daw po silang magbotohan. Sir, may I ask for your reaction on what happened last night?
Well, the unwarranted railroading of the approval of the death penalty bill has been signaled by Majority Leader Rudy Fariñas when he threatened to close the debates well in advance of the arbitrary date set by the Speaker on March 8 to put the bill for voting on second reading. Well, what triggered this threat of Majority Leader Fariñas is what you have already said, that when before the interpellation of Representative Tom Villarin started,
Yes.
I raised the question of quorum because there were no sufficient warm bodies in the House. I think everybody knew that. But the presiding officer, Deputy Speaker Abo, decided to put that into a vote. And to our mind, in the first place, there could be no voting because there was no quorum. Because under the rules, we cannot transact business without a quorum. But anyway, the voting was held, the ayes and nays, and we challenged the appreciation of Deputy Speaker Abo in saying that the ayes were more resounding than the ayes. So he said there were more members objecting to the adjournment of the session. So I moved for nominal voting, which is again pursuant to the rules. That's section 116 of the rules. And under that rule, any member can raise and stand up to move for the calling of the roll. And if it's approved by 1/5 of the members of the House present, there being a quorum, then the Secretary of the House is obligated to call a roll call vote. Again, this was challenged by the House leadership. But the rules are clear. You know, Mara, when they use the rules against us, for example, when they limit an interpellator to only 1 hour, but includes the time consumed by the sponsoring member of the Committee on Justice, they feel to be omnipotent. And they are supposed to be supported by the majority. But when we use the rules against them, napipikon sila. And they feel that we are delaying the proceedings. No, Mara. Since December, we were ready to interpellate. The problem is they were not ready to put the bill in action because they felt that they did not have the numbers. And so this was reset to January. But we feel that we should observe the rules. If there is no quorum, then we cannot transact business. If there is a quorum, we can debate till kingdom come.
Well, sir, Congressman Rudy is saying pinagbibigyan na lang daw naman na kayo, sir. So, if you would keep on insisting the attendance, they cannot control if the other congressmen don't want to listen to you anymore.
Well, in the first place, we are not beholden to Majority Leader Fariñas because it is not his benevolence that we are allowed to speak and to interpolate. It's according to the rules. But when we say that we must not continue with the proceedings because there is no quorum, then that is also consistent with the rules. So, hindi kami pinagbibigyan. All we want is that we are given full reign in the debates. We should not be gagged because in other congresses, nobody was gagged. We debated the bills on comprehensive agrarian reform law, on the reimposition of the death penalty, on the abolition of the death penalty, as well as the reproductive health bill. And nobody was stopped from interpolating or answering questions. We had the full reign because the heart and soul of a deliberative assembly like the House of Representatives is full and free debates.
Can the majority bloc stop the debates? I mean, they said if they decide during the caucus that they don't want to debate anymore, matatapos na po yung
Well,
debate.
they can always do that arbitrarily, but we are going to oppose it, and there are means by which the objectors to the measure can oppose this attempt, this undemocratic and unwarranted attempt to railroad and fast-track the approval of a very important retrogressive measure.
Well, Congressman, some of your colleagues seem to be more open to the death penalty bill after they decided na no more mandatory penalty of death. Now, would you support a watered-down version of HB 47?
A watered-down bill with a crime is still punishable by death, and the maximum penalty is still death, is not less retrogressive nor repugnant than the present version. We are going to oppose that.
Kahit po bawasan the other crimes, sir, no, hindi talaga.
Nandiyan pa rin ang parusang kamatayan, di ba? Kahit lagay na ng range, nandun pa rin ang maximum penalty ng parusang kamatayan. You know? So, and we should contend with hanging judges. And our history, there are a number of hanging judges who did not consider the evidence but simply imposed the maximum penalty of death.
All right, sir. Now, one of the arguments of the bill's sponsors is that, and even President Rodrigo Duterte believes that the death penalty is retribution for the victims of heinous crimes. But you have the experience with this particular aspect, sir, because two of your brothers were victims of heinous crimes. Your brother, si Mr. Edcel Lagman, disappeared during martial law. And your other brother, si Sir Philemon Lagman, sir, was assassinated at the UP campus in 2001. And yet you said you do not wish the death penalty on your brother's tormentors. Why is that, sir?
Well, in the first place, the reason of the president that the death penalty should be imposed, not because it is a deterrent, but because it is punitive justice, is completely incorrect. Because it is against the modern trend of penology where punishment is considered reformatory, so that convicts can be retrained, can be reformed in preparation to their eventual reintegration to society. And that is what Pope Francis said in his message to the 6th World Congress against the death penalty. Pope Francis extolled that a penalty which does not give hope for reformation is not justice. It is vengeance. and vengeance is not justice. Now, we are not the only ones. We will, we will present a, a record of families and persons whose kin had been the victims of heinous crimes, and they will say that they do not wish death to the perpetrators because they are seeking justice, not vengeance. And that is why we are not wishing death for the perpetrators who were guilty of the disappearance of my brother, Attorney Herman Lagman,
Opo.
and the assassination of my youngest brother, Pilimon Lagman.
So, sir, you do not believe in the principle of an eye for an eye?
That is so archaic. The best interpreter of the Bible is the present Pope. And he is very progressive-minded. He said that the sanctity of life extends to the criminal.
So, sir, if you want to stop criminals from committing these crimes, what would be the best way for us to
They
curb the
should be
criminality?
be prosecuted, and if warranted, convicted, then they should be put in prison. Pending their reformation before they are released, so that eventually they will form part of society.
Now, Congressman, as an anti-death penalty lawmaker, how would you assess the opposition of the church so far with the death penalty bill? Are you satisfied? Is it strong enough?
We are happy with the opposition of the Catholic hierarchy and many of the bishops, but we feel that there should be more pronounced and energetic campaign against the reimposition of the death penalty. And I think the church is going to do that. And it's not only the Catholic Church which is against the revival of capital punishment. The other churches, the other religious denominations are also against this bill.
Now, what kind of action, specific action, are you hoping that you would see that the church and other religions will be doing against the death penalty bill?
Well, I think more of the bishops should be speaking against the death penalty. And if possible, because they have done this before, they could visit us during the deliberation so that their presence will be seen and felt by the members of the House.
All right. Now, sir, what else can the public do to put pressure on congressmen to oppose the death penalty bill? What suggestions can you make, sir?
Well, our constituents should be able to reach out to their respective representatives and tell them that they are against the death penalty, because the death penalty is not the solution to criminality, including the drug menace. It is not the solution to the people's poverty and the lack of justice. And the death penalty will only further marginalize and victimize the poor. The majority of our constituents are the poor, and so they should be able to tell their congressmen that they are opposing this measure and that they will be the victims because they cannot afford caliber lawyers and they have no access to judicial processes. And they should tell their congressmen that you first things first. We first reform the police, the prosecutorial and judicial system before we even talk about the death penalty. Once there is an effective reformation and rectification of our flawed police, prosecutorial, and judicial system, there would be no need anymore to reimpose the death penalty.
But sir, makikinig kaya the congressmen? They could just send a letter and the congressman can just ignore, given if there really is a directive from the House leadership and even the President.
I think in these very important measures, conscience would have ascendancy over political pressure. And I would ask the members of the House to really go forth and vote according to their conviction and not be afraid of this pressure, because that pressure is like the sword of Damocles, which is poised to fall but has never fallen. It has psychologically, most probably, severed the head of those who are not courageous and resolute. But to the brave, then the sword of Damocles will not be an effective sword to change their conviction and change their conscience on a particular issue.
But sir, will conscience trump their political survival, since the speaker already threatened House leaders that if they will vote against the death penalty bill, they will be stripped of their leadership titles. And this includes the former president, now Deputy Speaker Gloria Macapagal Arroyo.
I think that is just like the sword of Damocles. I don't think it will fall. It will only fall on those who are less brave, less resolute in their decision against the death penalty bill.
Well, now, sir, if the death penalty is not the answer to solve criminality in the country, what is the best approach for the government to fix the criminal justice system?
Well, the first thing to do is really to have a comprehensive reform of the police, the prosecutorial, and judicial system, and to impress on prospective criminals that they cannot get away with crime, because the best deterrence to criminality is immediate apprehension, speedy prosecution, and warranted conviction.
Well, sir, and we're going now to my last few questions for today. What else can we expect from the opposition bloc in the coming days, since medyo mas nagtatighten ata yung leadership to really pass the death penalty?
We will continue with our interpellation, provided there is a quorum in the House. Then we will continue to oppose any measure to gag us, to muzzle us. Because in a democratic institution like the Congress of the Philippines, like the House of Representatives, there should be free debates, full and free debates, because we have to exhaust the issues before we go to a vote.
As of now, sir, how many anti-death penalty congressmen are sided with you already?
If we just have the indication that the Speaker does not want a conscience vote, if the Speaker is using intimidation and reprisal against those who will not vote in favor of the death penalty, if the House leadership is gagging the oppositors to the bill and limiting their chance of interpellating and articulating their opposition, then what is that? That is a clear indication that the House majority does not have the number at the moment.
Can you put a specific number, sir, on the number of congressmen who are opposing the death penalty or have expressed that they are supporting your cause in the House?
Well, I think the House leadership should know that. Otherwise, if they don't know that, then they are not having a good political mapping of the House of Representatives. We have a good political mapping. As of now, I tell you, Mara, we have more members of the House against the death penalty, despite the threats, the enticement, and the gagging of members of the House.
Pero ilan, sir? As of now, we know there are 50 lawmakers lined up to interpellate the sponsor. So, mas marami ba
We
po
have
siya?
more than that. We have more than that.
Can you give the specific numbers?
I don't want to give specific numbers. It's very hard to to telegraph our punches,
All right.
including our numbers.
Okay. Well, sir, down to my last question for today. Now, given all the actions that the House leadership is doing just to ensure the passage of HB 4727, what keeps you going to keep on fighting for the blocking the death penalty bill?
If you fight for a cause, no amount of intimidation, no amount of enticement, no amount of gagging should prevent you from pursuing your advocacy. That is why we are opposing the measure, because there are overriding and compelling reasons why the death penalty should not be reimposed.
All right, and we can see more of these arguments as long as the public watches the sessions. It's live streamed by Rappler every Tuesday and Wednesday, and also you can watch it in the Congress website. And there you have it, Congressman Edcel Lagman. Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence today. Congressman Lagman discussed why the death penalty bill should not be passed in the House of Representatives. I am Mara Cepeda. Please join us again next time.